We're
Good
live.
morning, everyone. I'm Paul Twardock. I'm on the board of the William Sound Stewardship Foundation, and I want to welcome you to the third Prince William Sound Natural History Symposium. We're very excited on behalf of the organizing committee to have you here. I'm going to turn it over to Betsy Oliver, who's going to give us a little briefing on the technology end of things.
Good morning, everybody. Just a quick tour to Crowdcast. If you move your mouse around, you'll notice right above the speakers' heads, there's a bar that says schedule. And if you click on that, what comes down, and you can scroll through that, is the schedule of sessions for the day. And so as the day progresses, you can always click through that to bounce back to an earlier session that has been recorded and is there for instant replay. Otherwise, for the most part, we'll bring you along with us. We can automatically pull you into the next session from the back end here, except for you'll notice there's some concurrent sessions, and this is where you can go in to click which one of those you'd like to be in. And then when you're done looking at the schedule, you can go back up to where it says less, click that, and it shrinks back and you should be seeing our faces again. A couple other things about Crowdcast. We've got the chat bar going, and a lot of our speakers may be inviting you to interact with them via the chat. Feel free to connect there as well, but keep it relevant, of course, to the conversation that's being had today. And then you'll look below, there's an area that says ask a question, and someone's already asked a question there this morning. That's a place where if you have a question for the speaker, you can put it in there. That way it doesn't get lost in the chat, and we have a moderator for each session who will be helping to ask those questions of the speaker. And the last thing is we are going to be having polls today. So I'm going to, in a moment here, because I can't quite multitask, I'm going to pop an example poll in through the poll area. You'll see that next to the ask a question function. And so open that up, give your answer, and that's another way that we'll be interacting. And let's just double check to see if there's anything else I wanted to share with you guys. Oh yeah, if there's any tech challenges that you run into, if something is weird on your end, the best way to fix it is to refresh your browser. That's the best tech support that we can give you. But I'll be on today, and we've got William who'll also be on in the background helping run the tech. So we'll be here to answer that type of questions as best as we can. So I'm going to add that poll in, and otherwise, Paul, thanks, and back to you.
Thanks, Betsy. And, we did this last year, but have patience with us as we, again, navigate this world of online. And we're really hoping next year that we'll be back in person. Next, I'd like to welcome the Whittier Mayor, Dave Tickerson. Whittier is one of our co-sponsors of the event. And I'd like to turn over to Dave to give us a brief welcome from the city. Dave?
Dave's on his way.
Dave's on his way.
Yep, okay. Just getting loaded up via the computer.
Hey, everything okay?
Yep, we're good, Dave. Welcome.
All right, good, thank you. All right, well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the third annual Prince William Sound History Symposium. I want to thank you today for attending and sincerely hope you enjoyed today's program. Some of you might have been here for the first symposium that was held in our new public safety building shortly after it was completed. We were a little overwhelmed by the turnout, and I remember having to keep setting up more chairs as more and more people kept showing up. We also didn't have all the monitors working yet, but I didn't hear any complaints. I think everyone felt it was a great inaugural event. Last year, they had to quickly adapt to the pandemic and use this Crowdcast program. I think a lot of us were new to the various online platforms back then, but the organizers did a great job of preparing ahead of time, and it turned out to be another great event. This year, some of us might be getting a little tired of the online meetings. Using these platforms, it can get a little bit overwhelming sometimes, but I think it's a great format for something like this. The organizer did a great job last year of getting everybody prepared for using this platform. This year, I think we're just really looking forward to having a great meeting. I really want to thank the organizers and presenters for their hard work to put this event together. There'll be some great presentations that cover the latest information on the Berry Arm landslide situation, weather and climate, history of Whittier, land management, birds and bears, just lots of. I'm really looking forward to that. If you plan to spend some time here in Whittier, either for work or for recreation, I'm sure you'll find this information very interesting and useful. I especially want to thank several people from our local community. Peter Denmark and Victor Shen serve on the Whittier City Council, and they're also on the board of directors for the Prince William Sound Stewardship Foundation. Longtime Whittier business owner Kelly Bender is also on the board, as well as Doug Penn, the principal of our school district. These people are helping our community develop our important role as the western gateway to Prince William Sound, and their time and effort is greatly appreciated. If you haven't already, I hope you'll consider making a donation to the Prince William Sound Stewardship Foundation to support their efforts to keep Prince William Sound clean, healthy, and wild. Thank you very much. I hope you have a good day. Turn it back to you, Betsy.
Thanks, Dave. We really appreciate our partnership with the city of Whittier and everything that they do as the gateway to Prince William Sound. We really appreciate that. Then I guess it's my turn to welcome everybody from the Prince William Sound Stewardship Foundation. First, I'd like to thank everybody that's been involved. I also to thank our sponsors, City of Whittier being one of them. The Prince William Sound Stewardship Foundation organizes this event. The Prince William Sound Regional Citizen Advisory Committee supports us through technical support, primarily with Betsy Oliver being involved. We really appreciate that help. The Chugach School District also is one of our major sponsors. Other sponsors include Girdwood Bookkeeping, Glacier Jet Ski Adventures, Discovery Voyages, and William Mountain Productions. Speaking of William, he has put together a fantastic introductory videos. So instead of me talking about the foundation and what we do, we're going to show you a quick video.
The Prince William Sound Stewardship Foundation is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that came together around a shared love of Prince William Sound.
The Prince William Sound Stewardship Foundation is dedicated to maintaining and enhancing the wilderness character of Prince William Sound.
There's so much to love about this region. Western Prince William Sound is a pretty special place. It's a place of immense beauty and wildness. And it's also a place that all of us use to recreate and work and live in. As that community of users grow, we all need to work together to preserve and protect this amazing place.
The Prince William Sound Stewardship Foundation is to date totally supported by volunteer efforts.
One of our goals is to be action-oriented, to provide volunteers opportunities to really do on-the-ground, hands-on projects that support stewardship and restoration and preservation.
In the summers, we have a handful of volunteer projects, and this is volunteers actually going into Prince William Sound and working on restoration projects like campsite hardening. There's some trail work. We also do several beach cleanups for marine debris.
Beach cleanups, beach restorations have all been accomplished through the diligence and willingness of the members to donate their time to facilitate these projects.
For more information about signing up for any of our projects or events, you can go to princewilliamsound.org.
meet some new people who are like-minded with environmental issues, and many of these projects can be a lot of fun at the same time.
Or join us for our Natural History Symposium.
The Natural History Symposium is an all-day event that focuses on different research that's happening in Prince William Sound, as well as cultural history.
Is a killer whale a whale or a dolphin? Well, it's both. All dolphins, all porpoises are whales.
The recordings of this symposium will be on our website, princewilliamsound.org. Join us as a member. Contribute to the Prince William Sound Community Forum with your posts. That's on Facebook. And you can also donate to help support programs like this free symposium.
This is an awesome way to learn more about what's happening right now in Prince William Sound.
We are Prince William Sound Stewardship Foundation.
We are the Prince William Sound Stewardship Foundation.
We are the Prince William Sound Stewardship Foundation. Great, thanks William Melton Productions for doing that great video. And I will say, I'll give a plug for William, very, very easy to work with. So I want to make sure people can hear me. Someone give me a thumbs up if you can hear me.
Sound good, Paul.
Great, thanks. I hope we got that audio. Yeah, please, if you're not a speaker, leave your mic off. That'll help us with the echo issues. So I guess we don't have to worry about that. But anyways, so next up, I'm very happy to have Willow Hetrick with the Chugach Resource Commission. Oh boy, I'm gonna miss the name here. Allison Carl, both with the Chugach Regional Resource Commission, to do an introduction and land acknowledgement from the Chugach people. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks everyone for being here and for having us. Let me share my screen here and start our slideshow. Can I get a confirmation that everyone can see our slides?
I can see him, Willow.
All right, thanks so much. As Paul mentioned, I'm Willow Hetrick, and the other beautiful lady that you see on the video is Allison Carl. We are here today from Chugach Regional Resources Commission. We're going to give you an overview of the Alaska Native tribes that are in the region, and then start off the day with a land acknowledgement. So Chugach Regional Resources Commission is a nonprofit located in Anchorage, Alaska. We serve 7 tribes in Prince William Sound and Lower Cook Inlet. Those are Port Graham, Nanwalek, Tutitlik, Chiniga, Valdez, Cordova, and Katuchek, which is in Seward. The 7 tribes of the region established circa 1984 to serve as the Intertribal Fish and Wildlife Commission, acting as the natural resource governmental agency on behalf of all of the tribes to work on issues that concern its members. So we like to start off with a welcome from our chairman of the board, Mr. Patrick Norman. He is from Port Graham, and he is also the chief of the village. This came directly from him, and I'm just going to read it word for word. Kamai, as chairman of the board of the Chugach Regional Resources Commission, I speak for my tribe as well as others in Prince William Sound and Lower Cook Inlet when I say we are thrilled to have the opportunity to share part of our culture with you today. For our communities, natural resources are a gift. Traditional foods and our traditional homelands restore physical health and are central to cultural and spiritual traditions. Healthy and productive people are the cornerstone of our healthy communities. The intrinsic value of harvesting and consuming local food in traditional ways cannot be overstated. A local statement is, when the tide is out, the table is set. Our ancestors provide a living legacy and a direct connection with the lands we come from. Since our ancestors have lived in this region, the environment and primary food sources have changed dramatically. The natural environment is more than just commodities. It is our greatest gift that help us to always remember who we are and where we come from. Our lands weave together the very social fabric that makes us a community. They contain the building blocks of our blood, our genetics, and when we are actively on the land pursuing wild game or fishing our sacred waters, we are gifted with new memories and those of a distant past. These memories settle us in a sense of belonging that promotes balance and generosity. Our people have a great potential in shaping a region that feeds the future in a way that strengthens our relationships with all living things and promotes cultural continuity. This can be done by becoming more than just users of the land or the sea or consumers of foods, but advocating for the preservation of our ancient way of life. This means promising to always practice good stewardship, experience reciprocity, promote collaboration, and celebrate the spirit of generosity through acknowledging the wealth and knowledge of that our traditional foods and home have to offer. Kwayana. CERC is the leader in tribal natural resource issues in South Central Alaska. Our organization was integral and involved in the research, monitoring, and restoration projects resulting from the Exxon Valdez oil spill. We work with all tribes in the spill area. Since then, we have expanded our programs to include subsistence resource management, shellfish aquaculture, ocean acidification monitoring, and tribal natural resource education. Now I'm just going to quickly discuss some of the tribal communities in Prince William Sound. I know a lot of you are already well familiar with these. So in Prince William Sound, we have Tutitlik Village IRA Council, the native village of Eyak, which is located in Cordova, Chuniga IRA Council, and the Valdez Native Tribe. These people are known as Aluktik or Sukbiak and are the southern coastal people of Alaska. In Valdez, you see on the top left-hand corner is the Valdez Native Tribe. They're approximately 300 miles from Anchorage. For Alaska Native people in this region, Valdez was historically a favorite place to hunt, fish, gather, and trade. Today, the Valdez Native Tribe is a 501c3 nonprofit, and it is the organization that serves Alaska Natives in that community. They focus on health, cultural, social, and educational services to all Alaska Natives and American Indians that are living in the Valdez area. They currently have 750 registered tribal members from 190 households, so it's a rather large organization. Chuniga, just to the right of the photo of Valdez, is a beautiful community, and the people of Chuniga have been living in the area for over 10,000 years. The word Chuniga means beneath the mountain, and as you can see, there is a rather large mountain behind the community. Until March 27th, the 1964 earthquake, Old Chuniga was located at the southern end of the Chuniga Island on Prince William Sound. The village of Chuniga was destroyed in a tsunami that resulted from that earthquake. The loss of life was catastrophic. Almost 26 people in the community, or 1/3 of the community, lost their lives. Most of the community was relocated. In 1984, a group of former people and descendants who lived in the village made a new site that you see here on Evans Island in Prince William Sound. So we often work with Chuniga on projects. We talk about the home, the original location and now the new location. Chuniga is isolated. It's only accessible by air and water. And our Marine Highway services and air charters are the ones who service the community. Eyak, or Cordova, is the Alaska Native people who live in Eyak are part of the native village of Eyak. It's a federally recognized tribe with 515 enrolled members. I think that's a bit of an old number, and I tried to update it, but I didn't get a response, so I'll update it before our next presentation. Cordova is a small fishing community located on the Gulf of Alaska between Prince William Sound and the Copper River. The Eyak people and the Eyak territory is a traditional meeting place for four peoples: the Eyak, the Aleut, Tlingit, and Athabaskan. Prince William Sound, the Copper River Delta, and North Gulf Coast were shared between all of those communities. And then we have Tititlik. The governing body for Tititlik is the native village of Tititlik, or the Tititlik IRA Council. There are roughly 100 people that are located on the shores of the Tititlik Narrows, and a subsistence lifestyle still continues to be an important part of their culture. As we'll talk about probably several times today, in 1989, the oil tanker Exxon Valdez ran aground not far from the village of Tititlik and spilled millions of gallons of crude oil into the waters of Prince William Sound. And since then, the community has tried to maintain their culture and subsistence lifestyle, which requires exceptional skill and traditional knowledge. I just want to take a quick moment to recognize what's going on in Tititlik right now. You know, they spent a year and a half of absolutely no COVID-19 cases, and in the last week they had an incredible outbreak. And I just want to give our thoughts and prayers to the community. They have roughly 30 individuals who are infected with the virus and are trying to manage as much as they can. It brings tears to my eyes to think that they have to deal with this, but just everyone take a moment and send thoughts to Tititlik as they try to manage that vaccine and keep their elders and their youth safe. Next, we're going to get on to our land acknowledgement. I'm going to give a brief overview of land acknowledgement, why we do it, and then Allison's going to actually give CERC's land acknowledgement. We're going to do a little activity with all of you to figure out what homelands you guys are on actively, and then we'll move on. So why do we land acknowledge? Land acknowledge is an opportunity to remember the story that brought us to reside on the land. It is our opportunity to honor the relationship to place that has been fostered by Indigenous peoples. Wherever we reside, the relationship we have to the land is the direct result of actions of those who came before us. If we seek to have a long story on the land, we must understand that we are presently in the story of the land, and the best way to inform our action for sustainability comes from those who have sustained the land for thousands of years. Indigenous peoples still reside in our lands through not only our continued presence, but also through land, plant, and animal relations that we have been in reciprocity with since time immemorial. Naming those who have fostered these connections to the place of our current action is a small token and a first step to acknowledging and healing our collective relationships to those places. So next, Miss Allison Carl. She is Sugpiaq and a descendant of the Chugach Alaska Corporation. Her family originated on Hinchinbrook Island in Prince William Sound, and her mother grew up in Cordova and lived in various other places in Alaska throughout her youth. Allison was born and raised in Anchorage. She recently graduated from the UAA with a bachelor's in biological sciences. She is with us today through a partnership between Chugach Alaska Corporation and Chugach Regional Resources Commission through an internship program that the corporation sponsors. She is our research scientist, does everything and anything that we ask her to do, and is currently transitioning into a 2-year position with us outside of her internship program. Her educational and career interests include water and food security in Alaskan communities. Now, before Allison does the land acknowledgement, I need to get back to my screen here, and I'm going to ask all of you to find out what Indigenous land you are located on. I just chatted a number that you can text, a link that you can click where you would add your zip code, or there's a Facebook Messenger bot, which I don't know anything about and I didn't test. So text the 1-800 number, click on the link and enter your zip code, and then please chat the results while Allison is giving our land acknowledgement. Let me get back to my screen here, open it up, and take it away, Allison.
Good morning. Thank you, Willow. So we would first like to acknowledge the land that we occupy for our Anchorage headquarters as the traditional lands of the Dena'ina Athabascans. The Dena'ina have been the stewards of this land for thousands of years, and we would like to give recognition and show our appreciation to them, their land, and their continued stewardship. We would also like to acknowledge the space and land that we utilize for our lab in Seward and the land of our tribes as the traditional region of the Chugach people of Alaska. Chugach, which translates to like real people, encompasses the Sugpiaq and Alutiiq people who have lived and continue to live off the coastal land and waters of Prince William Sound for thousands of years. We want to acknowledge our land and water, which brings us life and culture, and our tribes who maintain our relationship with the land. These include Cordova and the native village of Eyak, Nanwalik, Nuchik, Port Graham, Seward and the Katuchik native tribe, Tutitlik and the Valdez native tribe. The purpose of this statement is for acknowledgement, appreciation, and respect for our land, waters, and people.
And here's the text number. Here's the link. Just gonna exit out here and take a look at our results. A lot of people looks like might be in Anchorage. Denina land. Oh, we have someone joining us from the Dakota land in Minnesota. More Anchorage. The Powhatan land in Richmond, Virginia. Welcome. A lot more Anchorage folks. So I think our time is coming to an end. We'll let people continue to put their results from the quick little exercise, and flashing on the screen here, just some contact information for Chugach Regional Resources Commission, myself, Allison. We have a website that is currently under construction, but the old one is still alive and well. And then, of course, we have our Facebook page, which is probably the most up-to-date way to follow us and figure out what's going on in our organization. Those slides will be available. I'm sure Betsy will make that happen. I'm going to stop sharing now. Check the chat box a little bit more. Oh, great. We have folks from Eyak, more from the region, Alutiiq, Sugpiaq, Alutiiq, sorry. Okay, Betsy and Paul, thank you guys so much. There's still people adding to the chat, but our presentation is done. Thank you for having us this morning.
Thank you, Allison and Willow. We have a little time if anybody has questions for either of them. We've got our next presentation will start at 9:45. So if anybody has questions for Willow or Allison, go ahead and type them in the chat box, and we'll try to see if we can get them answered.
We have some more chats coming in about where folks are located. Totero People Region in Salem, Virginia. I'm going to butcher that first name. Suwan, Salem, Virginia. Welcome. So I encourage all of you to save that number, save that link. It's kind of fun if you're driving across the country to enter that in. We have folks here from Eyak, more from Anchorage. Oh, and Miss Nancy from Nanwalik, Sugpiaq. Hi, Nancy. Coastal communities of Salish, Coastal Salish, Washington. Wow, we have people from all over the country here.
One of the amazing things that I think of when I go out Prince William Sound is how long people have been there. A lot of times I think we go out and think, oh, it's wilderness or this pristine area, but we all know that no, in fact, people lived and thrived there for over 5,000 years, which is just an amazing thing and something we can learn from. And really, I think it makes Prince William Sound, again, like most places in the world, but for us talking about Prince William Sound, such a unique and incredibly interesting place. The history, and not only past but current, and the fact that people live and make their livelihoods and have for generations and generations out there. So I think it's a super. So thank you for being with us and talking about your peoples. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I see a message from Josie. She said, can you talk about the programs that CERC has to support traditional food harvesting in the region? And I can. I'll quickly just talk about some of the programs that we have. One of the programs is what we call Traditional Foods Program. We started it off with an effort to understand what type of traditional foods were being used in all of the communities, and maybe what type of traditional foods used to be used that are no longer, that also would like to be used again. And we try to ensure that our tribes are food secure. A lot of the issues of food security came to light in the COVID-19 pandemic when planes stopped, the highway wasn't running, the Alaska Marine Highway, and our people were forced to, forced to stay at home for lots of months. And it was pretty clear that there was a lot of reliance on outside food. And so during that time, we really tried to make sure that folks had availability of food. We sent out, we've been working with communities to get them commercial nets, to get them subsistence nets that they can use to harvest their traditional foods. We also started a food sharing program. So for instance, if there's a terrible run failure in Eak, like there has been the last couple of years, but in Nanwalek, they had a really great return. We actually facilitated food sharing of salmon between those two communities. Likewise, that same year, there was a terrible berry season in both Port Graham and Nanwalek, and Eak had a fantastic one. So we were able to share berries, frozen berries and processed berries between the communities. Something that we like to work on all the time. Oftentimes, like last year, folks weren't able to get out to go hunting. And so we were trying to find people who wanted to donate some meat, moose meat and deer meat, caribou meat that we could ship throughout the communities. That's been really exciting. One of our other more recent programs is what we call the Subsistence Resource Management Program. We're funded by the Bureau of Indian Affairs to work with all of our tribes to make sure that they have access to traditional food, hunting, and fishing. And what I mean by access is regulatory access, right? There might be tons of fish and tons of game, but we're outside the season. And the season closed yesterday, but I just saw this moose. And so if you harvest it, it's illegal. So we work with our tribes to make sure that the season dates are appropriate, the number of animals they're able to harvest are appropriate. And that is a full-time job. We actually have a full-time position, a gal in Valdez, registered with the Valdez Native Tribe to help us liaison with the Board of Fish, the Board of Game, the Federal Subsistence Management Program, and the Alaska Migratory Bird Co-Management Council, just to ensure that when people are harvesting, they are doing it within the law and not breaking the law and not potentially getting in trouble. We also work on marine mammal harvesting issues with the Native Village of Eak closely, but with all of our communities, just to make sure that same thing, that they can harvest marine mammals and safely and within the law. So those are a few programs that we have. Interweaving all of those programs is our climate change program, because it's very clear that we can't manage fish and wildlife resources without taking into account climate change and what that means and what's happening. So that's one of our programs that's kind of interwoven into all of our work. Let's see.
I have a couple questions here, Willow. Yes. Someone would like you to repeat the 7 communities that you represent.
Sure, that's no problem. In Lower Cook Inlet, we have Port Graham and Nanwalek. They are located across the bay from Homer, close to Seldovia. In Resurrection Bay, kind of our outlying community, if you will, we have Chugach Native Tribe. They are located in Seward, Alaska. And in Prince William Sound, we have Tutitlik, Chiniga, Valdez, and Cordova. And I will say that we have 5 federally recognized tribes. Those are Port Graham, Nanwalek, Tutitlik, Chiniga, and Native Village of Eak. And then we have 2 non-federally recognized tribes, the Valdez Native Tribe and the Chugach Native Tribe. What that means from a tribal perspective is those two non-federally recognized tribes do not get as much support and funding from the Bureau of Indian Affairs as their counterparts do. And so Chugach Alaska Corporation significantly helps those two non-federally recognized tribes. And we act as a liaison to the communities also between the BIA and those communities, and we are able to funnel money as well from the BIA, but they don't get direct support.
Great. Okay. Thanks. There's another one. They work in tourism and are wondering what are some resources they can use to better educate themselves and their guests about the land and the people whose land we travel on and move through. And this is specifically Luteak, Supiaq land for them, but in general, maybe.
That's a great question. Well, we have our website, and Chugach Alaska Corporation is going to be presenting later in the day about land management and the lands that they manage and keep in trust for the Native communities. They have a great website as well. The Chugach Heritage Foundation is part of Chugach Alaska Corporation. They're a fantastic resource. Other resources that you can look at are the Chugach Mew has some cultural heritage kits. Once I get off the phone, I'll start to link those websites. The cultural heritage kits that were developed by Chugach Mew, which is the social services organization for the region, are really fantastic. And they're not just geared towards educators. They're for anybody to use. And normally our tribes are open and willing and, happy to see people in their communities. But with COVID-19, of course, there's restrictions and no one's allowed in, especially to the smaller communities of Chiniga and Titlik. So I will chat some links after we're done.
Great. Thanks, Willow. We have another question about a general question. These are being recorded, these sessions, and they will be available for the next week or two on Crowdcast, and then we'll have them uploaded on the Prince William Sound Stewardship Foundation website after that. If we don't have any other questions, thank you both very much for joining us, and we'll take a short break and be back at 9:45 with Scott Pagot and the Prince William Sound Science Center and talking about their monitoring program. So stay tuned and you'll get moved into the next session.
Hey, Paul, I popped back on because we've got a link to that video we showed at the beginning. I know a lot of people were having, it was jerky or the audio wasn't great. So we've got a YouTube link. So in the next 5 minutes, before you come back here, folks can go there and see the video in its better format.
Again, that was the premiere, by the way. A few of us got to see it on Friday, but the premiere of that video, and we'll have it on our website also. So here's some links from Willow, and also again, if you are out in Prince William Sound, please visit the different Chugach Regional Corporation's website, and their lands page will tell you where their lands are at, and also the different village corporations, Chiniga and Titlik and Eyak, and they'll also tell you where their lands are, and they are private lands, and so you need permission to use them if they are open to the public, which not all are. So again, really encourage to respect to their land. They've been out there for thousands of years, and they deserve our respect. So with that, we'll take a brief pause and be back in a few minutes with Prince William Sound Science Center, Scott Pagot.